Hey guys, All in Crypto here, and welcome back, ladies and gents, for another YouTube video. Guys, we're going to be doing a lot of catching up in this video. This, of course, is going to be a Cardano update video. We're going to resume our daily updates on this project. Guys, I believe you have a real reason to be excited. If you are a part of the crypto space, if you're a part of Cardano, if you're an ADA holder, I think you have a lot to be excited about. We're going to cover some of that in this video. So without further ado, guys, let's jump straight into it. Let me set out what we're going to be looking at in this video from the offset. We're going to be looking at Cardano on the 4-hourly, the daily, and the weekly. I believe there is some very, very revealing kind of price movement, kind of chart TA that is going on right now, guys, and it's made me even more bullish on this project. We're going to be looking at Bitcoin, and I'm going to be telling you why it is I believe the entire crypto market is in for a recovery. We're going to be touching on some sort of media coverage. You know, Cardano has become a bit of a golden boy, essentially. Cardano sees largest weekly inflow from institutional managers. This is largely down, and this article sort of talks about it it sums it up quite nicely. This is largely down to the fact that Bitcoin's got a bit of a bad rap for not being so environmentally friendly. Now, we could argue about that, but, you know, this essentially has put quite a bit of spotlight on Cardano. We're going to be looking at a number of things. Isn't it funny how the kind of media coverage has gone from negative to positive in a very short period of time? They're all very coordinated. This could just be because they're trying to stay relevant, or it could be because they're all coordinated and have a vested interest in kind of manipulating the market. Who knows, guys? So Apple is looking for crypto experience. We also have the SEC now playing with the idea of a Bitcoin ETF. We know that this is going to really allow the floodgates to open up for institutions and allow crypto to really take on more of a traditional kind of financial role. So we're going to start with Cardano. Cardano today, guys, is currently set at $1.70. So the market's kind of lolling around right now. But ultimately, guys, what I'm seeing on the chart, certainly in the 4-hourly, the daily looks good as well, and so does the weekly, is some real bullish signs. You can see right here, guys, you have a reverse head and shoulders that has now formed. Not only that, you've popped back above your EMA, you've came back, you've tested it, and it's actually acting as support, whereas previously, during this kind of sell-off that I believe was largely manufactured, we're going to touch on that in a second, it has acted as resistance. Now, what we need to do, guys, is we need to make sure that we stay above this EMA, which I do believe we are going to. It's very common once you kind of break through the EMA that you do indeed come back and, test it. Also, when you kind of make that first leg out of it, you will capitulate for a period of time. I think that's all that's going on right now, guys. And ultimately, I do genuinely believe that we are going to continue to recover. We're going to take a look at Bitcoin for why that is in more detail. So you have a reverse head and shoulders setting up for Cardano. We've popped back above our EMA. We've came back. We've tested it. And we've stayed on the right side of it, ladies and gentlemen. So 4-hourly chart for Cardano looks fantastic. Let's take a look at a daily quickly, and then we'll do a weekly, and then we'll move on to Bitcoin and why I think the overall market is set to recover. So you can see the daily looks fantastic. You're above that EMA. We need to hold above this. You can see you have wick down below it, but ultimately I want to see that candle body close. What I'll do in a second is I'll go back and draw some areas of resistance that we need to watch in regards to a 4-hourly time frame. The weekly, guys, just looks fantastic. This is a real credit to Cardano. We're not going to map out our Elliott wave theory. We will do another kind of update video on that. But you can see that the weekly time frame for Cardano, I mean, lots of projects out there, and Cardano is probably one of a few that didn't even come down and pierce below its EMA on the weekly time frame, on the 20 EMA on the weekly time frame. That's a real testimony of how strong this project is. You know, I think that's largely due to the fact that, you know, over 72% of Cardano is staked. So out of all the Cardano existence, 72% of it is staked. And this shows a real belief in the project. You know, this is another great reason to be excited. Now, let's move on to Bitcoin. Before I do that, guys, I'm getting way ahead of myself. Let's take a look at some levels of resistance. I think you have a level of resistance around about $1.77, I believe, 78. And then you have another area of resistance around about that $1.85 range, guys. You can see that you have it has been kind of tried and tested as resistance on a number of occasions. I don't really like to go off wicks when I'm drawing resistance for kind of support and resistance trades. I like to really go off, you know, candle body closes. You can see that they're more in line. You know, they kind of close at you can see the resistance is kind of shown up better on candle body closes than it does on wicks. So we need to really get above this. I wouldn't mind coming back down and testing this EMA again before we start to kind of staircase our way up in accordance with the EMA and ultimately in accordance with the entire market. So let's move on to Bitcoin, guys, and let's talk about why I believe a recovery is on the table before we go into a little bit of news. So ultimately, I largely believe that this sell-off was had a lot to do with manipulation. We're going to really try and put this sell-off into context because we made a video where we spoke about the fact that I did not believe we were in a bear market. We asked the question, are we in a bear market? Is cryptocurrency going into a bear market? And my answer to that was I didn't believe that, and I thought a recovery was indeed possible. Of course, when we were selling off, there was lots of people very emotional in the comment section who essentially were saying, look, you know, as a YouTuber, you're not going to admit that. Guys, let me tell you right now, if I thought we were going into a bear market, I would have made that very, very apparent. But I do not believe that because I understand that this sell-off was largely helped in terms of sell pressure by people getting liquidated in leverage positions. 772,000 people were liquidated. So really roundabout from that 38,000 mark all the way down to 30 was really just liquidations. That is the first time that has ever happened in the cryptocurrency space. So people were largely saying that we were in a bear market due to the fact that due to the kind of severity of the sell-off, and I'll admit, in comparison with 2017, a 55% sell-off is a little bit extreme. We didn't see that. We saw sort of 43%, we saw frequent sell-offs, frequent pullbacks, I should say, in 2017, but none of them was as severe as this one. But you've got to remember, we didn't have that kind of leverage in the market. And ultimately, guys, one thing that I pointed out was that we have seen this before, and it is actually playing out in a similar way to when we had previously seen it. So we're going to talk about that very quickly, and this is going to really tell you why I think that we are on the cards for a recovery. Let's look at Bitcoin on a 4-hour low. You can see that you are still above your EMA here. This is how EMA traders get wrecked, by the way, guys. It's why it's never a good idea to just trade EMAs. You can do it with some relative succession. However, you should really use EMAs as just a kind of weapon in your arsenal, a toolkit, sort of a tool in your toolkit. You shouldn't really try and trade it because this is how you get wrecked. It kind of fakes you out. But ultimately, you've got the exact same thing setting up for Bitcoin right now. You have a head and shoulders, a reverse head and shoulders. That hasn't really played out to much success in yet, but I have seen plenty of double head and shoulders on either the left or right side play out. It still works, guys. So ultimately, I am waiting for a breakout on Bitcoin. And this is largely going to be exceptionally bullish for Cardano. Something, altcoins are higher beta, and something like Cardano, when you compound all the good news that we are getting, we know that the Alonso sort of testnet is coming out at the end of this month, so in a couple of days. There's going to then be a series of other testnets before there is a mainnet. Once the mainnet's out, you will then have smart contracts being able to be built. You'll have smart contract capabilities on Cardano, which means people can build their DeFi, their dApps, and you will see an ecosystem flourish. And this is really going to bump up the demand for the ADA token. So Bitcoin looks great, guys. I'm not worried about anything on that front, and ultimately I do think we are going to recover. I'm going to show you why that is very quickly in this video, and it's really, we spoke about it on that Are We in a Bear Market video, but ultimately I think you've seen this kind of structure play out. We saw it back in March 2020, guys, and ultimately I believe we're going to recover in a similar manner. I do not think we're going to recover like that. We're not going to have a parabolic recovery. The reason being is I think May and the next couple of months are a weird couple of months. There's a saying in the traditional markets, and we know the crypto market, of course, is very different from traditional markets, that sell in May and come back in St. Leger's Day. This means that you will have a bit of choppy action for the market. It will go relatively boring, a little bit low volume. However, the crypto market is a different market altogether. It moves very, very differently due to its volatile nature. We've looked previously at, and this is another confirming factor that I kind of had to suggest we weren't in a bear market, is we've looked at emerging markets before and how volatile they can be. We compared some of the .com stocks with Bitcoin. Very, very lots of similarities, and ultimately, in an emerging market, you can have these kind of sell-offs, and it doesn't really mean you're in a bear market. It just means that it's a volatile asset that you're a part of, and that's essentially what we think is going to happen. So we think you're going to, continue to kind of grind up before we see any kind of, parabolic growth again. And ultimately, I don't even believe you're halfway through this bull market. So that's what I think is coming, guys. And like I say, if you take into kind of account that, you had a lot of down media coverage, it's as if somebody kind of got together and coordinated everybody, which I'm not saying they did. just a lot of kind of red flags here. You know, we saw that the kind of Wyckoff distribution structure play out. And this essentially, Wyckoff came up with his method really to combat, it's for the retail guys really, to kind of combat institutions kind of milking and insiders kind of milking the retail guy. So I think that's exactly what happened here. Now, Cardano, like I say, has become a bit of a golden boy. Apple are now looking for experience in crypto. We spoke about the possibility of Apple actually getting into crypto and said it was inevitable, in the same way that, a company nowadays, if they don't use the internet, probably aren't going to get very far, certainly in the modern world. I'm sure lots of businesses, when the internet first came out, ignored it. You're now at that stage where you can't ignore it, or you're perhaps not going to be as successful as you could be. Blockchain technology is very much similar in that regard. And the SEC, we know we have Gary Gensler as the chairman. He used to teach at MIT, used to teach blockchain actually at MIT. So I actually think he, in many ways, is going to be pro-crypto, but he's also going to be pro something like the United States, which means he's going to be all for regulating it in order to tax it. And this is all part of, I'm not saying it's a good or a bad thing, but this is all part of something becoming an accepted asset. JP Morgan coming out and saying they're looking at crypto as a real asset now. So everything's moving in the right direction, guys. I mean, Cardano on its kind of time frames looks great. I ultimately think that this is going to continue. We'll see what the weekend brings. We know weekends are quite low vol, can be a bit, dumpy, quite sell-off days. But I do think you are on for a recovery. I really do, guys. And I think, the possibilities of us being a bear market, I mean, we're not out of the woods yet. I'll make that very clear. There is absolutely a possibility that you could roll over here. However, I think there is a higher probability of you, doing a similar thing to what coming back above this EMA, like we are on some smaller time frames, and us just continuing this bull market. I need to stop saying that. So that is really all I have for you in this video, ladies and gentlemen. I thought I'd get on here. Like I say, apologies, I've been away for the past couple of days, been very busy. Not only have I been dealing with the business, I've also been dealing with really my own portfolio. I've been opening lots of positions. You guys know that I had buy orders actually set well below $1. I got filled on a lot of, but I didn't get filled on anything, of course, below $1. But I managed to pick up a lot of Cardano over this time period. And I want to say a big congratulations and a big, pat yourself on the back to all of you guys out there. I know there's lots of you that watch this channel that held through this sell-off. You had diamond hands, and I'm sure you are going to reap the rewards in the future, because it's not the easiest thing to do when there's a whole kind of negative media coverage, and there's, everybody's fearful. The market was in extreme fear, to really, go head on into the storm. And I think you guys, ultimately, if you understand what blockchain technology is and what it's going to do for the world, and just how significant some of these cryptocurrencies are, it is easy to do that, but sometimes it's not easy to remember that. So a big kind of pat on the back for all of you guys out there. I know there's lots of you that watch this channel, lots of you that comment on all my Cardano update videos. We are going to get back to doing daily videos, ladies and gents. I have already filmed this video, but it came out corrupted, so I've had to kind of redo it. So it feels good to be back. I've missed you guys. I hope some of you have missed me. I'm sure some of you haven't. And that is really all I have for you in this video, guys. I'm very, very bullish on what we're seeing. And ultimately, smart contracts around the corner. We are going to see more institutions. This is, like I say, like the kind of internet. Everyone's going to have to get on board with blockchain. And something like Cardano, when we talk about blockchain technology and certainly cryptocurrencies revolutionizing the world and being, at the helm of the new world we are moving towards, Cardano was at the forefront of that in regards to it being the kind of latest generation crypto. So I'm very, very bullish on Cardano. It's why we do daily updates. We don't do daily updates on every single crypto, but Cardano we certainly do. And the reason we do that is because it's one of the most impressive, really. We have the 360 event, which I'm going to be reviewing and making a video on tomorrow. So stay tuned for that, ladies and gentlemen. Big things coming. We're back on track. We're going to be hopefully making up for lost time over the coming days. So stay tuned, guys. Make sure you hit that notification bell. If you've enjoyed this content, as always, a like is appreciated. So is a comment. Your feedback is crucial to the growth of this channel, guys. We're growing at a rapid rate, and we're going to continue to do so. And in my opinion, we're going to end up as one of the biggest channels on YouTube. That is all I have for you in this video, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to love and leave you on that note. I hope you have found this content informative. I hope you have found it useful. And get subscribed, guys. And hopefully I will see you all in the next YouTube video. Thanks a lot for watching, ladies and gentlemen. I'll see you in the next one.